You roll a die on game night without thinking twice about it. A cube, six sides, a little clatter across the table. It feels modern, casual, disposable even. But the real answer is stranger. That cube has been rolling for longer than most of your ancestors' languages have existed. Longer than writing. Longer than the wheel in some places. So when did humans actually start playing games? Not sports, not stories. Games with rules, with turns, with someone winning and someone losing. The evidence starts earlier than you'd guess, and it starts with bones. Literal bones. Archaeologists have long found small, oddly shaped animal bones at ancient sites. Sheep and goat ankle bones, called astragali, smooth on some sides, uneven on others. For decades, some researchers assumed they were just leftover food waste. They weren't. In 2018, archaeologist Haluk Salamtimur and his team excavating at Bashur Hoyuk in what is now southeastern Turkey uncovered something that changed the timeline entirely. Inside a roughly 5,000-year-old burial mound, they found carved stone pieces, pyramid-shaped dice, and tokens arranged in sets. A complete gaming kit, buried alongside the dead like it mattered. Like it meant something. That's older than the Great Pyramid of Giza, and it wasn't a lone discovery. Around the same era, in Egypt, people were playing a game called Senet, a race across a grid of squares, part strategy, part luck. Boards for it show up in tombs going back over 5,000 years. Pharaohs were buried with Senet sets. Tutankhamun had four of them. Here's the question worth sitting with. Why would you bury a game with a king? Because games weren't seen as trivial. They were serious enough to matter in the afterlife. Game historian Walter Christ, who has spent years cataloging ancient board games across the Middle East and Mediterranean, argues that games spread along trade routes almost like a technology. Merchants carried board designs the same way they carried pottery styles or metalworking techniques. A game wasn't just entertainment, it was information, traveling from city to city, culture to culture. His research, done with archaeologist Alexander de Vogt, traces one particular game, the royal game of first found in royal tombs in Mesopotamia around 4,500 years ago, spreading across a territory stretching from Crete to India over the following centuries. A 20-square board with a set of rules that people carried with them, generation after generation, kingdom after kingdom. But even that isn't the beginning, because play itself, the raw instinct underneath all of this, goes back much further than any board or die. Primatologist Jane Goodall spent decades observing chimpanzees in Gombe, Tanzania, and documented something surprisingly familiar. Young chimps chasing each other, wrestling, inventing little contests with sticks and stones, seemingly for no reason except that it felt good. No survival value, no food reward, just play. That suggests something uncomfortable for anyone who thinks games are a human invention. The instinct came first, the rules came later. Historian Johann Huizinga, writing in the 20th century, proposed that play isn't just something humans do. It's something close to what makes humans human. He called it Homo Ludens, man the player. His argument was that culture itself, law, art, ritual, even language, grew out of the same impulse that makes a child want to race a friend to a tree. So the timeline looks something like this. Millions of years ago, the instinct to play emerges in the shared ancestors of humans and other primates. Tens of thousands of years ago, early humans likely used stones, marks in dirt, and simple contests the same way children do now, though little of that survives to be dug up. And by 5,000 years ago, at the latest, that instinct had crystallized into something recognizable. Rules, boards, dice, stakes, winners. Here's the twist. The oldest known dice weren't built for children's games at all. Many of the carved bones and pyramid dice found in burial contexts appear tied to divination, people rolling them not to win a prize, but to ask the gods a question. Chance wasn't entertainment first. It was a way of listening for fate. Only later did people realize that random chance, dressed up with rules and turns, was also incredibly fun. Which brings you back to your game night. That plastic die on the table carries an unbroken thread back through Egyptian tombs, Mesopotamian palaces, and Turkish burial mounds, all the way to a chimpanzee in Tanzania wrestling a friend for no reason at all. You still roll it without thinking twice. Maybe you shouldn't, because every time it lands, you're doing something your ancestors did before they had writing, before they had cities, before they even had the word for game. They just called it play.